What's up, guys? I hope that you're having a glorious day. Today, I'm sitting down with a good buddy of mine who also is a very strong individual. I'm the weakest person. As out of all my friends, I'm like the weakest fucking runt out of everybody. I'm the smallest, I'm the weakest, but I like that. I love that because I surround myself with monsters, and that's something that me and Cody have talked about on the podcast is everyone that we're around is honestly better than us in some form or another. And you are one of the strongest people I know, but you're also one of the most humble people. And that's why we've been friends for so long, is because the first time we met, do you remember the first time we met?
I do. It was 2017 at my first Strongman competition.
Did I introduce you, by the way? This is Aaron Blackford, by the way, guys. I just started going into this conversation. I'm like, I have a friend and he's fucking strong. And I'm not going to tell you his name, but it is Aaron Blackford. Aaron is competing, or you just...
I just competed at the Clash Record Breakers.
Right. So what were you doing for the record breaker?
Okay. So I attempted the 90 kilogram deadlift world record for Strongman.
So what is 90 kilograms in American language? 198. Okay, 198. Yeah. There you
go. That's the division I compete in. Never had to cut weight for that division. That's the weight I walk around. In fact, I weighed in at like 188. So
did you mean to cut?
No, didn't cut. I don't know. I usually, when I start my deload process, which is like a few days, or a week before an attempt or a competition where I take a break, I'm not lifting as much. So sometimes I do forget to eat as much.
So do you think it's nerves?
No, it's not nerves. It's just I'm not physically doing as much, so my appetite's down.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. So just being busy with work and the family and stuff like that. But dropping weight never affects my deadlift at all. It's never been a problem for me at all.
So when you weighed in at 188, you weren't really worried about it?
No, I wasn't. And they said there was like a 3 pound tolerance, so it was 3 pounds heavier. So it would put me more at like 191. Or 192, which is what I've been doing all my deadlift training in at that body weight anyway. So I pulled 800 at 192 in training.
Weight's definitely more of a leverage thing when it comes to squats and bench, I think. Like press, right?
Yeah, it just depends on your body mechanics. For me, having extra cushion around the midsection when you're sitting into the hole, and being able to push the extra cushion into your legs, it helps you fire out of that hole in a squat better. And of course, just having more meat around your shoulder joints and when you're benching, it doesn't affect my overhead press as much, but because your body's involved.
Well, like for bench press, so if you're on a bench, but also I'm thinking about like these, for a better word, I guess, these fat people, these fat motherfuckers,
or extremely
just
muscular,
built, right? These tanks,
tanks.
These tanks of individuals that just have massive chests, so it's less distance that they have to travel to get the bar from lockout to their chest.
Yeah, not
back.
necessarily that, but I think the more meat, you got to understand, like bench press is a weird lift. So overhead press, squat, and deadlift, they all have the same thing in common, that when you're in that lockout position, or even when you're under that bar, you have a skeletal frame that's supporting all that weight. A bench press, there's no bone that's supporting that. It's just muscle, tendon, and joint.
Mostly just upper body as well.
Well,
right?
Yeah, but like you think about it, it's not like that's the shoulder joint that's holding that weight in place. So there's no bone on bone thing that's supporting that weight.
Right.
So having a lot of muscular density and a lot of muscle upstairs in your shoulders and stuff like that.
It's obviously going to help.
And fat, whatever, and cushion around that joint. The more cushion, more thickness you have around that joint, the more it's going to help you to support more weight.
I love that you refer to it as cushion.
Well, yeah,
I'm going to start doing that as well.
Well, I mean, it is cushion, like a deadlift, I think most people, including myself, like I could be a lot lighter or lose weight and it won't really affect it that much, What
do you walk around as far as body fat goes?
I have no idea.
I would say probably like 9 to 10%.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate. Yeah.
And that's without really trying. But you also, you bust ass. Like when you're training, you're putting effort into fucking training.
Yeah. And I mean, I work a very physical job. I work in a steel mill where I'm sweating a lot, 120 degree temperatures. I'm a full-time dad, a full-time husband. I just started the coaching and the programming stuff. I am opening a gym that's expected to be open end of May. It's going to be called Blackford Barbell Strength and Combat.
In Roanoke, Virginia.
In Roanoke, Virginia, on Brambleton Avenue.
In case you live in Roanoke, make sure you swing by.
In case you live in Roanoke, that's going to be happening. It's called Strength and Combat because my good friend who I work with on the police force for, I don't know, maybe 7 years we worked together, something like that. He is a Shotokan black belt and a stand-up specialist, a very gifted striker.
So he's a bad bitch.
Yeah, dude. And he's like the coolest, true martial artist. You would never know it. Like literally just walks around in the most plain clothes, like flannel shirts, like hiking shoes, like very unassuming dude. You would never know anything about it. And even how he operated on the street was all de-escalation techniques, all using his words. If he had to fight, he was quick, he was swift, and like he could put big people down with an elbow before you could blink.
That's absolutely amazing.
So I mean, he's controlling the combat portion, and I'm doing the strength and conditioning portion. So it'll be a place to where fighters could come, have everything they need for their combat sport, and a coach to at least teach them the stand-up part. I'm trying to find a jiu-jitsu guy that's in the future. Right now, it's just me and him.
Yeah.
And then they'll have everything they need for strength sports or strength and conditioning to supplement their fighting. So it's kind of like a hybrid gym.
You're just making bad motherfuckers is pretty much the better.
And really ultimately my main goal, my long-term goal is to specifically work with troubled young men.
I love that.
You know,
we need more of that.
Yeah, because there's a whole lot of young kids, especially in Roanoke City right now, like a lot of the kids in that are, or the people that are involved in these shootings and stuff are all like 14 to 18 years old.
They don't have any outlets, man.
They don't.
That's the issue.
They do not have enough outlets, man, and they don't have enough examples.
Right, their examples are people that also didn't have any outlets, so
and
they went to gangs
didn't
and
have
shit.
Any examples.
Yeah.
And you know, I've worked the streets for a long time, and I've seen it, and I've been around long enough to know that, you know, the only thing that separates most, you know, normal, you know, citizens that work and pay their taxes and follow the laws is just circumstances of growing up.
For sure.
You know, and it's just your circumstances.
You're a product of your environment.
You're a product of your environment. And you grew up in an environment where crime did not pay or benefit you in any way.
Which sucks. Because if you're going to do crime, at least you want to get fucking rich doing so.
Exactly. And that's what they're trying to do. And of course, there is a culture, you know, behind that too, a negative culture behind that too, which perpetuates it. But ultimately, I've understood that people are people. And a lot of times it's just, you know, you're not better than anyone else. A lot of times it's your circumstances that determined it.
That's definitely something that I've come to realize over the years, even with my parents. So that was a major breakthrough for me with my parents, because I didn't have the best upbringing, and it was good in certain aspects, but at the same time, there was shit that I had to deal with as I got older. And the best thing that helped me kind of break through and stop being a victim, because that's all it was. I was like, oh, well, I'm this way because of my parents or whatever. That's a victim mindset.
Yes.
But what helped me with it was saying, my parents tried their fucking best. Like, my parents had me when they were in high school, man. I cannot imagine having a kid in high school.
I would have messed that kid up.
Oh, exactly, man. Exactly. So whenever I took a step back, quit playing the victim and said, you know what? Like, these are teenagers that had a kid, and they also had their own shit going on. Because that's the thing. We forget about that.
Yes.
Everyone has their own shit that they're dealing with. And I think everyone starts off as almost innocent, and then because of their upbringing and their environment and other factors, they turn into not ideal people.
Yes.
You know, and it doesn't mean that they can't change. It just means that they're going to have to kind of accept that and be like, okay, well, what do I need to do moving forward to change my life and go on a better trajectory? But I'm glad that you said that, because
it takes other people.
It does take other people.
Like I'm not here today with, you know, the knowledge I've gained and I'm not sitting here now, like, not saying I'm like super humble, but I've definitely been humbled.
Right.
You know, I've definitely been humbled, and it's taken good examples, like good people helping me along the way
to kind of show you that, hey, not everyone sucks.
Exactly. Like, I can't give all my, like, I've turned out pretty good. Like, you know, like I got my family life together. I got a great wife who loves me very much. I love her very much. I have 2 wonderful, healthy kids. You know, we're doing great. And I cannot take credit for all of that. I had good examples, you know, to help me out along the way.
And then going back to the troubled youth, they just didn't have those examples.
A lot of them don't have those examples. And I want to use, like, what I've been blessed with in my life to help that.
Right.
To help that situation.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think more people need to do that. And we've talked about purpose on this show. Me and you have talked about purpose as well in pretty in-depth conversations. And I think my personal perspective on purpose is we are all put on this earth to help each other.
Yes.
You need to work on yourself. You need to improve your value. That way you can help everyone else around you. That is the purpose of being a human being, is to help other human beings.
Yes.
And people, they put too much thought into this. Oh, what is my purpose? And they try to get so detailed. Your purpose is to become the best version of yourself. That way you can help those around you. Plain and simple. That's fucking it.
Exactly.
And that way, like, you're going to open up this gym and you're going to, but the way you're able to open up this gym is because you have worked on yourself throughout the years to get to where you are now. And you say, okay, cool. Now I'm confident enough. I have enough knowledge now that now I can share this knowledge with troubled youth.
Yes.
And then they're going to change other people's lives as well. It's a dominoes effect, and we don't realize just a small gesture can have the biggest impact in long term.
I don't care if by the end of it, I've only helped out one person. It was worth it.
Well, that one person's going to help maybe 20, 30. Maybe this person is going to become like a fucking celebrity, and they're going to have huge influence on the world. And it's because of you.
Maybe.
You know, but that's
not necessarily because of me, but maybe something else working through me.
Well, it's not even a matter of going into it like, I'm going to help this person because it might help someone else. Don't even go into it with that attitude. Just go into it wanting to help other people. And whatever happens from that point forward is going to happen. But going back into your deadlift last night. So what were you shooting for?
So 840 is what I was shooting for.
840 pound deadlift.
840 pound deadlift.
What's the current deadlift record?
The current deadlift record is 828.
In your weight class?
In my weight class, in the 198 division of Strongman. And I was going for 840 for a number of reasons. One, from what I could research, it would be the biggest conventional deadlift done by an under 200 pounder.
Meaning not sumo.
So like it would take care of that at least. I didn't want to just do 1 pound above the record because Jesse Norse, I believe, did like an 836.
You want to make someone else put in a little bit of work in order to.
Exactly. And also like I was ready for it. You want to talk about gratitude in this situation. So I had to come back spoiler, I did not get the world record. I smoked my opener, which was 765, and I went straight for the world record, 840, which is what I was projected to hit in my training. And I had full confidence going into this. Like I had no doubt in my mind that this was in the bag, based on my training. So and then maybe 2 weeks out, I can't remember how far out it was. I realized, I've been training on pound plates. And when you start loading 800 pounds,
the weight's distributed differently.
Yeah, well, the weight's distributed far differently. It goes all the way to the end of the collar, especially when I was working with 855.
Looks good for a video, but not practicality.
On reverse bands. Well, that's all I had to work with.
Yeah, of course.
And then I started thinking, well, this record might be on kilo plates. Let me talk to my coach about this, Tyler, who's
also here
running the whole thing too. So he said, yeah, it will be on kilo plates, and he said it should still be a good amount of width. And so I didn't want to I was gonna what can I started thinking in my head, what can I do to adjust my training? How can I do this?
At this point though, you're already
and then I started thinking, you know what, I'm on an upward trajectory right now in my training. I did an 800 pound easy training single. I've done, 855 on reverse bands very easily, and I'm ready for this. I didn't want to dwell on that negative thing.
Yeah.
I didn't want to dwell on it because there was no way to fix it. If there was a way to fix it, then I would have adjusted, but I just didn't have access to fix it. So I figured, nope, I'm going to keep this upward trajectory and I'm going to keep positive. I'm going to go into this.
Let's pause real quick. Yeah. So with that right there, you started kind of allowing your mind to do what the mind does and want to problem solve, because that's all the mind is. The mind is there to problem solve. But then you got control of it very quickly and was like, okay, there's nothing we can really do here. So we're going to stop overthinking this and we're just going to fucking show up and do what we do best.
And here's why it's still good that I do not regret doing it and thinking about it that way. I do not regret putting that in the, getting that out of my mind, because one, when I got there, I was cheerful. I was talking to people. I was helping people out, having good conversations, good human interactions. I went in there with that confidence, and I think if I didn't change that mindset and I, was sitting there worried about this,
you still would have been overthinking it.
I still would have been overthinking it. I would have been less pleasant of a person to be around. I wouldn't have made as good impressions. I wouldn't have been as encouraging to other athletes before they went up to their lifts. I would have been more self-centered and focused on myself, but going in there with that confidence, because I didn't dwell on that negativity, just made me a better person to be around. And ultimately I put on a better performance, even though I didn't get that record.
Yeah.
I still was, I kept my head about me and it was okay, and the gratitude part of it is well, I think I'm still in my athletic career and in my life, I am still in the humbling process.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still there, you know, and that's okay.
Do you think it's ever going to end?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I think I'm constantly going to get humbled.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, no, this wasn't my time to shine.
Yeah.
Maybe
okay.
I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
Maybe ego would have taken over.
Right.
You know, maybe not, but maybe I wasn't ready for it. And I kind of see that I used to think everything was by chance, but now I'm kind of seeing everything playing out and working according to plan. Like, I wanted to talk before I even attempted my deadlift record last night, and I knew we were doing this podcast. I wanted to talk about self-love, gratitude, and not only being able to give yourself grace, but grace to other people. And this conversation, you know, is just, there's going to be so much more meat to this.
It's going to be a better conversation.
It's going to be a better
you didn't get
conversation, and there's so much more meat to it because I'm sitting here after a failure, not a success. You know, and to talk about self-love after a failure, you know, is people, you know,
it's crucial. Man.
Yeah, it's so much more crucial.
So did you remotely did you beat yourself up at all?
You know, I was very close to it, and then I'm thinking, let me think, what could I have done differently? I was like, I had some access to some 100-pound plates, and I guess I could have pulled on a stiff bar. But I was 2 weeks out when the thought came in my head.
So
right?
that was the other, I guess, route you could have taken.
Yeah, but I would have only had 2 weeks to prepare, and then maybe doing that, my deadlift sessions would have been so much more harder, and I would have went into this this attempt that much less confident, and like I said, that much less pleasant of a person.
For sure.
You know, so I'm not beating myself up about it because at the time that was the only thing that I could have done. I would have been like, yo, Dad, let me borrow like some of those thin old York 100-pound plates, and I'll stack those in on the inside and try to, you know, and work on a stiff bar and get up to the weight that I need to in training. And maybe, I don't think I honestly could have probably in time gotten to that weight.
I don't think
that
so
way.
either.
I don't think I could have. I mean, I proved it on that day that I couldn't pull 840 on basically a stiff bar. I know it was on a deadlift bar, but I believe they had the Ivanko like 40 kilogram, the green ones.
They're just slim.
Yeah, on the inside. So they had like 60 to 100-pound plates, I'm not sure, on the inside. And then they had the red ones on the outside. So all the heavy plates were on the inside.
So it was a stiff bar.
It was pretty much, just a stiff bar. And you know, I know that now. So that's part of that gratitude is, okay, here I had a failure. I've had plenty of successes in Strongman. Okay. I've gotten it's hilarious that I'm a much better deadlifter than an overhead presser, but I have a world record block press and I still don't have a deadlift world record yet. So that's kind of funny. That's kind of ironic, but I also came away with that gratitude knowing, you know, everything could have been set up. It could have had pound plates. It could have been exactly how I wanted it. And I could have accomplished what I wanted to, right? And learned nothing.
Right.
Did not learned, dude, you need to start training on a stiff bar. You need to purchase kilo plates, obviously, for that gym. And you need to look at the best deadlifters in the world. Like people like John Hack and Jamal Browner, and you watch them and you see John Hack pulling on, you know, a stiff bar and using kilo plates and you know, you see how strong he is. You realize, okay, dude, yeah, I'm even further from that level than I thought, but that's okay. Now I know, and now I know how to adjust my training, and I have that. Like what if I missed and all the plates were exactly how they were in training? Then I'd be sitting here like, oh my gosh, what did I do? What happened?
Yeah,
like,
then
I'm
you really would have
confused.
been beating yourself up.
Yeah, I maybe would have been beating myself up. So
let's go back in time to like Aaron 4 years ago. Say Aaron, whenever we first met.
Yeah,
would that Aaron?
No.
How would old Aaron have handled the situation?
Old Aaron would have like went in a bathroom and caved in the towel rack and ripped the handles off of the sink and screamed the F word in the mirror, and then like, you know, maybe broke a few more things, and then I would have come out of that bathroom, and then my wife would have been crying behind the bathroom, and then she would have been like, "Are you okay?" And I'd been like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Why?" She's like, "Well, I heard you in there." I'm like, "Oh,
something fell off the wall."
Yeah, you know, no, that would have been old Aaron, and then I would have dwelled in that negativity, and it feels worse to do that.
Oh, it's so much worse,
and it's easy to get there, like because I did that. I was like, look, right after the lift, because it was a big letdown because it wasn't like I had any doubt in my mind. I thought I was going to get this.
Of course, I think everyone did.
Yeah, everyone did. And so I went back there and I'm like, okay, there's a lot of negative things that are happening right now in my mind. I don't want to do this. For one, I want my wife to enjoy her vacation at the beach. That was number one. I was like, I don't want to have her be worried about me. I want her to have a good time, and I want to let her know it's okay. I'm okay. So that's another part of being a man. Look, it is okay to go and cry as a man. It is okay. Yeah. I'm not saying any of that, but sometimes you do have to suck it up.
For those around you.
You do have to suck it up for your wife, for your kids. And you have to show them that sometimes it is stronger to control those emotions.
You can also just let go, though.
Yeah.
So that sounds like what you did. You didn't necessarily release that frustration and anger and stuff in a physical way.
Yeah.
But you just relaxed. You just said, you know what? It's fucking done now. And I don't want to ruin this trip with my family. I'm just going to let this shit go.
Yeah.
And then you let it go.
And I feel so much better.
You feel so much better now.
so much better.
Compared to dwelling on it and going to the bathroom. I know that's exactly what you would have done because it was so detailed. And that's why I was just laughing so hard, is because it was so detailed, step by step.
Detailed because I've done it before.
Yeah, you've done it.
I've done that before.
What do you think has helped you change that perspective, I guess?
I don't mean to get all religious on you.
No, go ahead. I don't give a shit.
Finding God.
Yeah.
And straight up. But also the support system that I have in my life, and the examples and the people around me.
And just maturing as a man.
Maturing as an adult, and plain and simple, love.
Love, yeah.
Love.
It's everything.
That's, having that self-love to give yourself grace. Look, dude, you were strong enough to pull it on the implements you were training on. You trained on the wrong implements. You realized it a little too late. So what? Now you know. It feels better to stay in the positive light. And having that self-love, you can't love anyone else if you don't love yourself.
Right.
That's what you got to realize. You can't truly love anyone else if you don't love yourself. You have to love yourself first. And I've been getting better at that. And because I've been getting better at that, I've been able to love my wife even better.
Of course. You love everything around you more.
And love everything around me anymore. And having more love for yourself, you have more respect for yourself, and you have more respect for your spouse. And I'm like, because I could see her face after I failed the attempt.
Dude, she was a nervous wreck the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
We were standing right beside each other, and I was drinking a vodka and soda, and I just handed it to her.
She's invested in it too, man.
Oh, yeah.
She's invested. She's made sacrifices so I could do this sport, and she's very much invested in it. So I could see her face after I failed it, and it was worse than mine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no.
The first thing you did whenever you failed it was you went over there to find your wife.
Yep.
Yeah. You went over there. You almost went over there to find her, to consult her, to be like, hey, we're good. Everything's okay.
Everything's okay.
I love that.
Yeah.
So is that how you talk to yourself when it comes to self-talk? How you were saying you?
Yes.
So it's like, hey, man, you did this. You tried your best. Mm-hmm. It's that word there, you, because that's the same way that I talk to myself, but it used to not be that way. And that's why whenever you were just talking about it, I kind of wanted to dig into it more, is when I'm really self-reflecting, it's almost like I'm talking to someone else. Mm-hmm. And if I'm journaling, it's the same way. I'm saying, you need to do this, or you tried your best with this. This is what you can do moving forward. It's a very odd thing that I've started doing, or that I've realized over the past 6 months to a year. And when you were talking, it was the same exact way. Has it always been that way?
No.
What do you think shifted that? Or what do you think that comes from? Because do you think I
think it comes from, obviously you've reached this point a different way than I have.
Right.
And we talked about
back to religion.
Yeah, back to religion. We talked just about on our canoe trip.
Which I want to talk about as well.
Yeah. But it's, for me, accountability is another thing. So I'll be completely honest, before, I go into this deadlift, I pray to Dad in heaven. I say, protect me physically. For one, I pray for all the other athletes, to protect them physically. And then I make a promise. If you make a promise to God, and you also have that fear of God too. It's like, no matter what, I'm going to act right.
Yeah.
So you make that promise, and that accountability. it didn't happen the way I planned, but what are the positives from this? And it giving me that accountability is what helps me now. Whereas before, it probably would have been more woe is me.
Do you give yourself a window, say when things don't work out how you wanted them to and you're a little frustrated with yourself or you're upset in general? Do you give yourself, say, a 5 to 10 minute window to be like, hey, I'm going to give you 5 to 10 minutes to just do whatever the fuck you need to do, and then we're calling it quits and we're moving on from this? Is that something you do?
No, it's not something I always did.
You do it now?
Yeah, I do it now. Last year, I think it was probably one of the more like darkest years of my life. Just working things out. Quitting alcohol, was really, bad with the insomnia and stuff like that. Just going through a lot of, mental stuff like that, and, really getting down on myself and not taking that few minutes to when I feel that rage coming up, to just, talk it through, meditate, and then get rid of it.
Yeah.
I feel like especially after this is another thing I'm so like grateful for this failed attempt, is that this is the first time where I've really like worked hard for something and then I didn't get it, and because usually like I'm usually pretty successful in my strongman attempts. When I work hard for something and I stick to the plan, I get the results.
I was thinking about that yesterday leading into your deadlift, because I was there watching and I was like, I've never seen Aaron not succeed.
Yeah.
Which is why going into it, I think every single person there was like, yeah, Aaron's going to get this because this is what Aaron does. But I'm glad you brought that up, because I didn't think about it going into the podcast. But yeah, 100%. And that's something you have to deal with as well. And the fact that you're so okay for pretty much like your first big failure. And by the way, guys, this was on national TV. Like this was
my
on
first
ESPN.
Big failure on TV.
And you're not, and like you're sitting here talking about it, joyful and not beating yourself up about it. But I think that's the most important thing, because I know a lot of people, including myself, when I first started lifting and for years, and even with business, and being a dad and whatever else, I always beat myself up if I didn't show up how I was expecting. And that's the thing, is we have expectations for ourselves. And then when we don't show up like that, we beat ourselves up. And that's the thing, is you created that expectation inside of your head. Mm-hmm. That never even existed. Mm-hmm. That was a reality, a futuristic outcome that could or could not happen. You don't fucking know, but you think that you can control the future. Yeah. And when it doesn't work out, we get upset about it.
Oh, yeah.
And over the years, I've kind of just been like, it doesn't matter, because once again, I created that inside my head. It didn't work out how I thought it was going to, my imagination, and it doesn't really matter. We're going to keep moving forward. But I'm really glad that we talked about that, because a lot of people beat themselves up, even in the gym.
Most people do.
Like I see at the Norse compound,
even huge pros that are more successful.
I've
than
seen
me.
them be complete crybabies, man.
Yeah, they lose it.
I've seen them in the gym. They miss a squat PR in the gym, and they are just throwing the biggest tantrum. And I'm like, bro, you're in the fucking gym training. Like, what are you doing?
Let me give grace to those people, because that was me.
Well, like I said, that was me as well.
Yeah.
I've definitely been there as well.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping after this conversation, people can kind of take a step back and be like, this is not the biggest deal.
Yep.
We just need to dial it back in, take a step back, breathe, get back in there, keep training, and then it's going to happen if you're consistent with it.
The less angry you get, the more in the mindset you could get that you're capable. I'm like, look, I got to compete at USS Nats after this, right? I got to win nationals after this. Okay. So I can't be sitting here, woe is me. I'm a screw up. I got to stay in the winner's mindset. I didn't get this deadlift record, but I learned a whole lot from it. I learned how I need to train deadlift from now on. I learned that maybe I was a little bit overconfident. Okay, maybe I thought I was better than I was. Maybe I was thinking I was up there with like Hack and Jamal, as these pound for pound like crazy deadlifters. No, I'm not there yet.
You came to that conclusion though, and now you've moved on from it.
And now I moved on from it. But also I want to talk about negatives, things that are just purely negative, and it's not positive. It's a negative thing, but you could still use it as a tool.
Yeah.
So the only thing about this that I can't turn into a positivity like in and of itself is that the fact remains is that I did let people down. And I'm not saying I let people down in like the moral sense, like I betrayed them. Okay. Because obviously that's something like people automatically assume when you say let down with betrayal. It's not betrayal. Okay. Disappointment is a letdown. When I didn't get that, there was a whole crowd of people back home that were rooting for me that were disappointed.
You didn't let them down, though, in that sense. The only way that you didn't let them down in general, though. The only reason those people were so invested in it is because they love you.
Yes.
And that's okay. That's it. You're right.
Yeah, it's okay. But at the same time, the fact remains, dude, that I disappointed people.
Well, now you're going to show up and smoke it.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's okay. I think facing those harsh realities is important too.
Oh, of course.
Because like when I was sitting there, I'm like, okay, I'm still a little bit sick in my stomach. And why? Why am I sick in my stomach? The rest of my attitude is on point. You know, like I've controlled my emotions on this. I didn't shed one tear. I didn't get mad at all. You know, like it's been me consoling my wife most of the time. But there is one sickening feeling, and that is like when you watch, like, okay, sorry everybody, I can't help it. I'm a Conor McGregor fan. I can't help it. You know, I know he's not like the best person, but like,
oh, whatever. He's a rock star.
Well, yeah, dude, he's just a joy to watch.
He's a stud, man,
he's just a joy to watch. He's a special human being. I don't care what anyone says. And when he broke his leg in that fight, I felt disappointment.
Okay.
He felt disappointment.
So you've been on the other end of this.
I felt disappointment.
Right.
I was like, like, you know, dang, you know, I wanted to believe again. I wanted to see him do something amazing again. So the fact remains that, yeah, people were disappointed. A whole bunch of collective people were disappointed. And there's no way to say that that's good. Okay. You got to accept that. Okay. That's bad. But what you can do is show those people grace and how to act after.
It's also fuel.
Yeah, it's also fuel. It's also fuel. That's what I'm talking about, taking those negatives. There's one thing, like, all right, this is the one thing that I can't necessarily lie and say is positive, because there was disappointment felt in a large scale. But I could take that, and I could take that in my next endeavor with, you know, this athletic endeavor, which is nationals, and I could say it's not going to happen here. It's not going to happen here, guys.
Right.
You know, I'm still going to fight.
I'm going to show up, do my thing.
I'm not gonna go in my hole and disappear and cry, and then you won't see me for a while, and then I'll come back when I feel like I get my full strength back.
That would be letting people down.
Yeah, that would be letting people down. I'm still in the game. I'm still here. I'm still here to fight. You know, I need to adjust some things in my training. And sometimes maybe I should dial it back a little bit. Like I literally was like, when I went back to that bar, like my body was done. Like after the first time I tried to pull the 840, my body was done. Like I'd put everything I had into it.
You tried again.
So I stood back, and you could see me praying and, you know, doing, you know, like this. And I'm like, okay, come on. Like,
let's go.
Holy Spirit, activate, you know, let's do some magic here.
Right.
And I went back and did hell. Oh my gosh, my back is so sore. But,
yeah, you probably wrecked today.
But, you know, yeah, it is. I'm definitely sore when you give everything you got on a deadlift.
It wrecks you.
It wrecks you. But it's okay. Like at least I stayed true to form.
Right.
Like, you know, like physically I know, okay, like maybe that wasn't the wisest decision, but everybody knows I'm a fighter. Everybody knows that I'm going to go tooth and nail until that clock goes out. I never just stop in the middle. Like if that's just how I am. I'm going to fight for every last bit of it, unless it's in the middle of a competition and I need to save some energy for the next event.
Well, that's being strategic.
Yeah, that's being strategic. But like, if there's no point to strategy, I will give it every last breath that I have, and I'll destroy myself to make it happen. And that's just who I am, and I'm okay with that.
Well, I've seen you do it numerous times.
Yeah.
I think the most beneficial thing, or at least the most impressive thing during this conversation so far, has been the self-reflection that you have done in such a short period of time. Like you said, you got done mentally, you were okay, but you still had enough self-awareness to be like, there's still some shit going on in my gut.
Yeah.
What is that? And then you had enough self-awareness to figure out very quickly, I let people down and I'm not okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think most people, including myself at times, can figure it out at such a rapid speed. It's usually like weeks of just inner reflection and being like, what the hell is going on here? Why am I still upset? You jumped to that conclusion pretty damn quickly, man.
Yeah, and I can't take full credit for that. I mean, that has to do with me like believing in a higher power and then promising that higher power that I won't behave a certain way.
Right. And then
and by doing that, like, you know, whether you believe or not, you're holding yourself accountable.
Yeah.
And by sticking to that you know, you can come to those conclusions faster.
Right.
You know, and you can learn how to act better.
Let's talk about this canoe trip that we took not too long ago.
Yeah.
So it was February, right?
Yep.
So back in, I think January or so, Aaron messaged me. He said, "Hey man, I want to do a canoe trip down the James, which is this huge river in Virginia and during winter." And I said, "Yeah, let's do it." And you're like, "Wait, are you serious?" And I was like, yeah, just when do you want to go? I was like, "I'll be in Iceland in January, but I get back and any time after that, we're good." You're like, "Oh, okay, cool. Let's roll with this." So we don't really talk anymore prior to that. And then I just kind of show up and you're like, "All right, you ready?" I'm like, "Yep, let's go." It's February. It's during winter and we're getting in this fucking tin canoe to go down some rapids.
It rained all week.
Yeah, the river was up
7 days of straight rain.
And it was up 20 feet, right?
Yeah. It was 25 feet in some spot. You saw the foot marker on that tree.
Right.
Where it had it was like at 40 feet and it was like on the tree, like where it's up near the levee where the train tracks.
Yeah, I remember.
And then it was probably only like, 12 feet below that. So at that point, I know it was like 28 feet where we were.
We also weren't just canoeing and then getting back. Like we were canoeing and then camping that night. So we had all this camping shit with us. And we're like, well, hopefully this bitch doesn't tip because if it does, we're wet. It's winter and we're camping somewhere. It was going to be an adventure. Like I knew it was like either this is going to go smoothly and we're just going to have a good time, or this is going to be an adventure and I'm going to have a story, and I'm stoked on it either way. Which is why, like, whenever I told myself a long time ago that I'm never going to say no to new opportunities like this. Whenever someone say you want to do this, just automatically I say yes, and I don't think about it anymore. I don't say, well, what if this, what if that? I'm just like, yes, and then I show up and I'm like, all right, cool, let's do this. And a lot of times it's sketchy because I don't prepare. I don't do any prepare. I don't do any homework. I just show up and I'm like, all right, let's roll.
It's good you didn't. It's good you didn't do homework because you probably would have made a different decision. So
no, I definitely wouldn't have.
Really?
But no, I would have definitely just showed up and been a little bit more sketched out. But I would have definitely got that damn canoe.
Well, actually, it's been longer than 6 years. I've always wanted to do a winter canoe trip. Ever since I was a teenager, but I think probably the past 6 years it's been something where I'm like, okay, I just want to do this, but I want to share it with somebody. I want to do it, I don't want to do it alone. I'm an extrovert. I like experiencing things with other people. I do like experiencing some things by myself. It's fine. I have my time of reflection, of alone time, but ultimately I love people, man. Yeah. I mean, and like, I like experiencing things with people, especially really cool people. And I'll tell you what, man, why I was so surprised when you said yes is because I've been trying to get people to do this, and no one's really been.
So over the past 6 years, you've been asking all these people.
Some people be like, yeah, I'd be interested in doing it, but nobody's really was serious about like setting up a time and actually planning it out. And then you're like, yep, let's do it. I'm like, oh.
The only question I asked was when and where.
Yeah, dude. And then after I said that, I told people, I was like, hey, I'm going on a winter canoe camping trip. And then suddenly everybody out of the woodwork was like, well, I would have gone with you. I'm
of
like,
course, because now you can't. Yeah, get fucked.
But I do think after I did that, there are some cool friends that thought it was really awesome that will do it with me next year. So I do want to say that it would be more than just getting wet. So like when the river gets that high, when it gets up to like 25 feet and
we would have drowned.
Well, yeah. So the river's constantly moving in one direction. Okay. So those rapids, of course, the rocks create those rapids in some spot, like, right. And as those waves are going up and crashing down, because the river's still moving forward in a constant forward trajectory, when those waves crash up and come down, that it causes undercurrents to swirl under. Right?
Okay.
As it's crashing down. And those undercurrents could get up to 80 miles per hour. So there's no life jacket, and there's no, like, if that canoe like went down or went sideways a little bit,
we're getting into the current, and then
we are getting sucked under immediately. There's no, like, if we get caught in that undercurrent, we're dead.
I was definitely thinking about that while the canoe was getting full of water.
Yeah.
It was, because I remember I grew up in Panama City Beach, and that was always a thing is, if you get caught in these currents on the beach, like you'll get swept over here and then you're fucking gone.
Yeah. That river, if like any guide or anybody that's like a professional would tell you in the river in those conditions like that, you shouldn't be taking anything else down there but like a inflatable, like high quality, like rapid type.
And here we are in a tin canoe that you got off Facebook Marketplace.
Aluminum canoe.
That you completely, so I didn't realize how bad it was. I wasn't being cocky or anything during it, but I was like, oh, this isn't too bad. I was in the front. I really wasn't doing shit. Like, I understand that. I was just there for the ride. And then Aaron in the back was controlling this whole damn ship. And we get done, we get to our camping spot, we get out, and the paddle that you were using was completely bent.
Yeah.
Like, it was disfigured. And of course, mine is just beautiful. Like, it was never even used. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah, like Aaron saved us. If Aaron was not here and it was just like, I don't know, say me and Cody, and we're like, yeah, let's go grab a canoe and go down the rapids, we probably would have tipped that bitch.
I grew up near a river town.
Right, you grew up on it.
Yeah. And I've been canoeing like my whole life, and you know, so I'm pretty good with the river. I you know, especially when it's high, I could recognize where rocks are and stuff like that. So I had the confidence, you know, to make it through that. It's not like I was like, oh shit. Like,
no, you had it under control.
You know,
and because you had it under control, I was like, well, we're good.
Yeah,
it's good. It's Aaron. We're all right.
Appreciate your faith in me, man. It's still pretty dangerous, and I wouldn't recommend going down a river in the middle of winter after, you know, 7 straight days of rain in a metal canoe.
And then sleeping on the ground that night.
Let's put it this way. That canoe trip regularly, like during the summer, would take 8.5 hours of rowing. It took us 2.5 hours. It was 3 total because we stopped to explore that cave.
Yeah.
On the train tracks, but the amount of rowing we did was like 2.5 hours.
Should have been like 8 hours.
And it should have been like 8
We're cruising,
hours.
baby.
Yeah.
Cruising. So we're not telling you to do that, but what we are saying is that you need to get out of your comfort zone and you need to go do cool shit, because that's what life is all about. You're not going to experience any cool memories sitting on your phone or sitting in front of a TV or anything like that. Like, you need to get outside. You need to do cool shit with cool people, because that is the human experience.
Yep.
That is what we are put here to do, is to experience life. And we need to make sure that we are experiencing life.
Yes.
And then that means getting out of your comfort zone, because otherwise it's just kind of fucking boring.
And guess what? You ain't got to go far to do it.
No, you don't have to go far at all.
You don't have to go. I live right there by that river. You know, I mean, it's there.
Yeah.
And like that metal canoe cost me $150.
Well, even most people, man, like, they don't even go on hikes. So like, if you want to get started with this, and that's why I'm saying, like, I'm not trying to preach, but like, you're not doing enough. You're doing fine. If you're listening to this, whoever you are, regardless, like, I know there's people listening to this that have probably done way crazier shit than us, and that's awesome. And if you are, like, hit me up.
Climbers. Oh my god.
If you're doing crazy shit, please send me a message and let's hang out and let's go do crazy shit together. But either way, like, you can start off small. You can start off on just going on, say, an 8-mile hike. And then you can go on a 12-mile hike, and then you can go on a 20-mile hike, or you can go get a mountain bike and do that, or go get a canoe or a kayak and don't do something crazy, kind of like compared to what me and Aaron are talking about, but you can still just go do something different, because you're getting out of your comfort zone. That's all comfort zone is. You're doing something different that you don't have any confidence in at the moment.
Exactly.
But you get more confidence by just doing new shit.
Exactly. I'll clarify that that river trip was not out of my comfort zone.
No, it wasn't
like
yours.
That's
it was out of mine, though. That's what I was saying.
That's my lifestyle. Those are things that like make me alive. Like, literally my lack of like would be sitting in a dark room alone. That would be like something more scary than getting on a river, you know, to me.
Well, for me, sitting in that dark room is like, this is paradise. But,
yeah, I know.
But it was definitely me getting out of my comfort zone. And that's why I said that. I've never done anything like that before, which is why I said yes. Without any questions or anything, I'm like, yes, of course. I've never done that. I don't think I'm going to die, because I wouldn't have, because that's irresponsible. I have a kid.
Yeah.
I knew that there was no life. I knew that like death was very minimum. But then again, like, I could get hit walking across the road.
Exactly.
You know, anything can happen. So I don't approach life like that. Well, I could die. Well, I could die at any point.
Do you believe our days are numbered?
I expect I'll live till like 120.
Okay.
Like, you know, like, I'm not even bullshitting.
I mean, do you think that it's set? That fate is set?
No, and I know there's people listening to this because, you know, Norse mentality, and then you have the Norns and all that stuff, which I keep getting messages like, what do you believe in? And I do believe in a lot of that stuff. But whenever it comes to like the Norns and fate, no, I don't think I do. And that could probably change, and that's okay. Like, the older I get, I definitely am changing, I guess, more spiritual type views like that. But as far as like my death is already etched on a stone somewhere.
I didn't etched on a stone.
Well, I just used that as an example. You know, it's concrete is why I said that. But I don't think my death is concrete. It might be, and if it is, cool. I mean,
I don't know for sure, but I think it's more likely.
Yeah,
and that helps me, whether it's true or not. if I accept the mindset, like for me, I'm not saying everybody has to do that, but if I accept the mindset that my days are numbered, it's not an excuse for me to do careless stuff, because obviously there, I could do something and I'll be shit in a bag in the rest of my life, in a wheelchair because I did something stupid,
right?
And I think that, your decisions, definitely reflect the outcome, and if it's a stupid decision, you get a stupid prize. But as far as dying, it does help me to keep that mindset. It does help me to approach things with more courage.
I don't. I can understand that for sure, and that's definitely useful. I'm sure a lot of people use the same tool, and that's great. I love that. It doesn't really matter to me. I guess that's the best way to put it. Like, it's not going to stop me from doing it either way. I just don't think about it. If it's something that is already like concrete, this is how Andy's going to die. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'll experience that whenever it happens, I guess. But until then, I'm just going to keep the pedal to the floor, keep experiencing life.
So you're doing the same thing, just
I'm
with
still
a different
going to do
mindset.
the same. I'm
cool.
still going to do the
Awesome.
exact same thing. I just don't think about it.
Yeah.
And that's how I am with a lot of stuff. Even say when it comes to,
there's no point to.
No, and that's the thing. I just don't see a point in it. And I'm not denying it. And that's the thing. I don't want anyone to think that I am. Actually, I don't give a fuck if you think that or not. Like, it doesn't matter to me, but I'm not saying yes or no.
Yeah.
I just don't care enough to really think about it. It's kind of like when it comes to aliens.
Yeah, exactly.
But when
what does it matter? What does it affect?
It's like, are there other life forms? Maybe.
Probably.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Like, I hope there's other planets doing cool shit like we are. Maybe we're the only one. Well, the only one I can experience right now in this life is this one. So I'm going to put all focus on this and have the best life possible. And I just don't really think about anything else. That's it. I might for a brief second, then I'm like, okay, we're moving on. But yeah, I definitely think that's important though. And like you said, this wasn't you getting out of your comfort zone. It was me getting out of mine.
There is still a fear element.
Of course.
So
but that's where the adrenaline comes from.
Yeah, there's still a fear element that why I like doing these things, because I still like experiencing that fear, because it does help me for other things that are out of my comfort zone.
So this trip though.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. This trip wasn't nerve-wracking for you, and it really wasn't for me either. Yeah. But it was a little bit more sketchier than you probably were thinking going into it, right? Because the river was so much higher than, say, when you decided...
I was not planning to go down a 25, 30-foot river.
It was still a little bit more sketchy than what you were expecting.
I was more scared that you would drop out.
Oh, no, I'm not gonna do that.
I didn't want to... I wanted to explain to you, like, and be honest, to be a good human being, explain to you, hey, this got more dangerous.
Dude, you could have been like...
This got a lot more dangerous. Are you still good? I just want to let you know.
You could have said, hey, the river's up 100 feet. It's infested with alligators, and the chances of us getting eaten by an alligator and drowning, one or the other, is going to be 95%. And I'm like, well, we still got 5%. Like, we're good. I still would have jumped in and done it.
Yeah.
I'd
rather take my chances with an alligator than drowning.
Yeah. See, so like, I grew up in Florida. I've always been obsessed with alligators.
How do you fight an 80-mile an undercurrent?
When I say 120, when I say like I live to be 120, I'm hoping I either go out fighting a bear or an alligator. Like, I have an alligator tattooed on my shin, and it's because I'm like fascinated with these damn creatures, man. We used to catch them.
Did you see any down here yet?
No, I saw some dolphins this morning.
I'm looking for them every time I go over the brackish water.
I jumped in the ocean this morning, like 8 a.m., and there was like 15 dolphins out there. And of course, at first, all I saw was a fin.
That's awesome.
I saw this fin, and I was like, oh, fuck, that's a fin. I'm in this large body of water. And then I saw a bunch of others. And now looking back on that this morning, I saw the fin, and I was like, oh, that's a dolphin because it's shaped like this. How the fuck would I know? I don't know shit about dolphins besides they're cool creatures. I don't know shit about...
the tail's parallel.
See, but that's the thing, I don't know anything about...
You saw the tail and it came up, and the tail was this way instead of vertical. Because the mammals have the flat tail, like whales and dolphins have the flat tail. The shark, if you're able to see the tail and it's sticking up, then you know.
I don't know.
The fin isn't.
I don't know any of that though. Okay. But in my head, I said, "Oh yeah, it's a dolphin because the fin's like this." And now, while we're having this conversation, I realize that I just told myself that, and I have no fucking idea. I just convinced myself it's a dolphin because maybe I wanted to stay in the water longer. Who the fuck knows? But then I saw a bunch of them, and then I think in my head, I said, "Oh, well, dolphins don't travel in packs." Or no, sharks don't travel in packs.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do or not, honestly. I have no idea. But I told myself this shit this morning. And for all I know,
they'll eat if there's a...
It could have been 50 sharks, and I would be like, oh, it's 50 dolphins swimming around. Yeah. It was, I don't know. But anyways, that was cool. But no, like when I was growing up, we had my grandparents, they lived on the water down in Kissimmee. That's technically where I was born at.
Kissimmee?
And yeah, like Orlando, that area.
Oh, in Florida.
Yeah. So I was born in Kissimmee, Florida. And my grandparents and stuff, they had a house there on the water, on the bayou, or whatever the hell you want to call it, creek, river. I don't fucking know. Anyways, so we used to go out there with fishing poles, and we used to catch these little alligators. That's awesome. With the fishing pole. They have these, they have extra skin on their back legs in between the skin. It's like a lizard or some shit. Mm-hmm. And you can take the fishing pole and hook that extra skin. It doesn't hurt them or anything. I don't know. I don't think so. Anyways, and you get this alligator and you can flip it over on its back and rub its tummy, and it just completely sprawls out.
Really?
Yeah, and it just chills. And then it starts making this noise, and then the water starts moving a bunch, and then you got a 6-footer coming your way. That's mama, because it hears this baby, and you're like, no, I'm going to throw this little son of a bitch back. But yeah, like I've always been obsessed with alligators, and I hope at the age of 120, I find one, and it wants to wrestle, and it just eats me. And then that's how Andy goes out. Maybe that's how it's set. Speaking of, like, you know, is your death already predetermined? Hopefully it's predetermined that I fight an alligator at the age of 120. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, we still have a whole day worth of competitions and stuff. We still got a vacation to do, so we're gonna wrap this up. But anyways, I love you, man. Thank you for getting on this podcast.
Love you too, man.
This should have happened a long time ago, and
I've been waiting for it.
It's so weird that it's happening in a hotel room in South Carolina, because we've known each other for 4 or 5 years. You come to the Concord pretty often. You've been at the Norse compound on numerous times, and yet we're doing this podcast in a hotel room. But anyways, this is a great conversation. I hope you guys got plenty of value from it. How can they find you on the interwebs?
Okay. Both TikTok and Instagram, it's Blackford Barbell.
Blackford Barbell.
Yeah, it's Blackford, like a Black Ford truck.
Are you doing online coaching now?
Yeah, well, I'm taking on a few clients right now. Before I take on any more, like, there's a couple things I have to do financially. I still have to get my LLC and stuff like that, because I need a whole bank account, because it's all going to be related to this gym. So all of my money and stuff from it is going to be, you know, going to the same place. Right. So before I start advertising for more, because there's definitely quite a few people lining up that want to get coached.
Well, that's what I was asking. So if you are looking for a coach, you know, hit up Aaron, and even if he's not accepting online coaching at this moment,
it will be very soon,
but
like,
he will help
a few
you.
Weeks,
so if you have like questions or anything, I'm sure Aaron will definitely help you
Absolutely.
out. So definitely hit him up. That's Blackford Barbell on TikTok and Instagram. And this podcast is a byproduct of Norse Fitness. You can find us online at norsefitness.co. You can find me on Instagram at Andrew Cliff Lewis. Aaron, we're still going to hang out after this. But anyways, it was a pleasure, man. Appreciate you, bud.
Thank you.